All right. I'll call the meeting. Roll call.
Okay. Chairman Morris Baker,
Here.
Blake Ayler,
Present.
Troy Everett,
Present.
Thomas Lawson,
Here.
Luke Mead,
Present.
Chase Milner,
Present.
and Hawkins County Churchill Mount Carmel is absent. So have quorum, everybody but one.
All right, we'll move to public comment. See if anybody would like to make comment pertaining to any of the agenda items or any transportation planning issue. Close the public comment period then. I'll ask for a motion for approval of the minutes from May 14th, 2026.
I actually have a small correction on those.
Okay.
Under my name, it says Hawkins County Churchill Mount Carmel representative. Should be
Okay.
Sullivan County.
Oh,
All right.
well, that's saying you and then them, but I'll fix it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we usually don't put who you're representing. But since we have three people there, but
Yes, ma'am.
I can make that clear.
It's my bad.
You're fine.
Thanks
Can make
for
it
bringing
clear.
that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can make it clear. Okay, so change.
Get a motion?
We're gonna make those changes. I can make a motion.
Let's get
Yeah.
a motion in a second and then we'll-
Clarify it on there and,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. All right.
second.
All right. Now, any comments or corrections? Sorry, I should have clarified that.
other than clarifying his name.
Other than
It's Sullivan County.
please.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Leslie, I'll turn to you for the 26-29 tip amendment.
Okay, we are now in the 26-29 tip because the STIP, the State's Transportation Improvement Program, was approved by Federal Highway. So even though we approved our 26-29 tip in November, it wasn't our official document until the STIP was approved. So we have moved to it. So I had already done an amendment to it because we needed to add Virginia's new projects because they're on a 27 through 30 STIP schedule. So this is amendment number 2, which is very odd for me to have 2 for Virginia, like back to back. But this is actually adding funds because we're in the new tip and 26 was like an overlap year. So we needed to add funds to their maintenance grouping, preventive maintenance and system preservation. So we're adding money. And as required, we have the resolution. We have the planning process certification. Federal Highway Virginia reached out to me with questions about if this is required for every tip amendment. So I've not heard back on that clarification. TDOT requires it. There was some stuff from VDOT saying it was required, and I don't know. So I'd rather do it and not need it, saying we're following all the processes. And then if I hear back from him that it's not necessary, then we'll change it at that time. But we got the old page.
Leslie,
And
do you
then
want
the
me
new
to check
page.
in on that?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I
Yeah.
sent him all the documentation I had, but we've been doing it for Tennessee since 2020, I believe. And right after that's when Virginia came out and was basically a similar process. So that's what we've been doing. And I just added Ivan at Federal Highway Virginia to my mailing list because my contacts over there had changed and had left. So I added him. So this is the first time he's gotten one of our tip amendments and he was asking me about it. So, but yeah, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll follow up. No problem.
So this shows adding the 29 million to fiscal year 26 for the maintenance grouping over there. And then the old financial summary and the amended financial summary.
Still need to get it approved, right? Motion
Yes.
Second, okay.
So what we're doing is approving the amendment to add those funds plus saying, yes, we do follow all these processes that we have to follow.
Okay, all right. Let's get a motion second and we'll take any questions. Anybody want to make a motion?
I can make a motion to approve this amendment.
Second?
Second.
All right. Any questions or comments? All right, if not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll turn to Jim Meyer for the long-range transportation plan update.
Okay, let me see what I do. I need to stop sharing my Zoom, not the Solstice. I have too many things going. Okay, Jim, you should be able to share.
All right, let me get this set up here. Okay, give me 1 second. I have to move a couple things around. All right, it should be showing up there. You guys able to see it?
It's slow. Oh, there it is. I was about to say it's coming.
Okay,
It's slow.
yeah.
There.
All right. Sorry for the delay there. Good afternoon, everyone. Jim Meyer with AECom. Happy to be back with an update today on the LRTP. So this is our third time to meet as part of the LRTP update. So the first time back in the spring, we talked about the goals and objectives. A couple months ago, we talked about some of the preliminary analysis that we're doing. And so today, just want to kind of take a look at the needs and opportunities that we're seeing, and then quickly review the project scoring process and share with you the preliminary scoring results that we have so far. I'll talk a little bit more about the preliminary scoring and what we're going to be doing with that a little bit later. So the way we broke this down is, and want to focus on today, is really the roadway and freight needs and opportunities that we're seeing. And so it's very similar to the way we presented this when we did the 2045 LRTP. And when you look at the 2045 plan and a lot of the needs and opportunities that you see in the 2050 plan, there's still many that are still exist today. So what I'd like to do is just kind of walk through these different areas in terms of network connectivity, safety, congestion, and get your feedback, see if we're missing anything, if you have any thoughts on other issues that you might be seeing that we should take note of. Network connectivity, I don't think there's any big surprises here, especially when you're looking at the 8126 interchange. This has been a project that's been studied for several different studies over the years, and so well aware of the importance of this interchange to the Kingsport MPO area. The 357 extension is obviously something as when we looked at the last plan and again as part of the 2050 plan, as growth is occurring to the east and looking at the need for another north-south roadway in that area to support growth and provide some congestion relief throughout the area. Up on the top there and towards the Virginia state line, we know that there's a pretty heavy east-west movement over extending outside of the MPO area, heading towards Bristol, and a movement back and forth, and also up Bloomingdale Road and into Virginia. And so we'll see later as we talk about some of the congestion, some of that popping up as well. One of the big things we've talked about before in Virginia is obviously an alternate route to 23. There's several challenges associated with that, but still identified as a need. And then intermodal connections and accommodations, especially into the area like around Eastman and getting to the interstate has been is still something that could be improved upon. And then also, as we start to look at some of the safety information and connectivity, multimodal connections to downtown and areas outside of the corridor are important. Have a couple safety graphics where we did map recent 5-year crash data, and so the darker areas represent a higher concentration of crashes, and so this is all crash locations, and so you can see a lot of that concentrated along US 11W and Stone Drive and over on the east side there near John B. Dennis. A lot of that is probably associated with some access management issues. But one of the things that we're also seeing this time around that we didn't see pop up quite as much last in the 2045 plan was 36 here, just northwest of the 81, Interstate 81. So again, I think we noticed some things there last time, but seeing maybe a little bit more this time around. We do know some of the safety concerns along the interstate, the 81-26 interchange, again, with some of those operational issues, ramp deficiencies, weaving areas. And then some of the heavy truck traffic and the climbing lanes that could help throughout the area. One of the areas from looking at performance targets and system performance is specifically looking at fatal and serious injury crash locations. And so you can see here from the concentration that the couple areas that are popping up here, again, over where that number 4 is, where John B. Dennis along US 11W, but also at the intersection or interchange area of I-26 and 11W and where it turns into US 23. Now, I will note that, we're aware that there were improvements made there. And so again, this crash data that we have may be reflecting the trends that were happening before the improvements were there. So that's something that we'd want to continue to monitor, or if anybody from TDOT or anybody else has information maybe on how that's been performing, it'd be good to know about that. Also, you see some a little bit higher fatal serious injury crashes popping up around that number 2 area. So while that wasn't necessarily as high in all the crashes, it's popping up with a little when you look at the severity of crashes. And then when we get into high pedestrian bike crash locations, again, it's kind of centrally located in areas where you would see a higher number of pedestrians and bicyclists, for example. I'll continue running through this, and we can come back and revisit any of these in a moment. This is the congestion or restricted travel corridors. These are actually the results from our 2045 LRTP. So we are in the process of getting the 2050 model data. That model is being updated, and we should have that information and be able to take a look at the 2050 numbers here soon. And so it'll be interesting to see some of those if these areas are still experiencing congestion, and we're anticipating that most of them will be. The number 6 again with the interchange area. Perhaps the improvements have helped address some of the congestion areas there. But again, for the large part, looking at that area of the 8126 interchange, looking at State Route 36, heading north of Interstate 81, and some of those other areas that we've mentioned before along US 11W there, Stone Drive, and some other locations. So as we kind of look at all of this together, we're aware of some of the technology improvements that are being looked at along 81, along the 26 corridor, and extending into US 23 in Virginia. But also, looking at some of these other areas, number 3 there out on Stone Drive, where we've got some, potential future development, access management, frontage road issues. 36 was also something that we had flagged last time. And when you look at some of the, again, take into account some of the safety numbers that we see out there, something that we want to take a look at as well. Looking at from a asset management perspective, looking at how our pavement and bridge conditions. And so, we're aware that a lot of, this information can change quickly based upon improvements and that type of thing. So, if you see something, on this map that looks like it's maybe out of date or has been improved, or maybe there's some areas that aren't showing up, please let us know, and we'll share this slide deck afterwards, so you'll have an opportunity to take a little closer look at it. From a pavement condition standpoint, obviously there's a lot of areas showing up on the Virginia Virginia side here. On the Tennessee side, there's some scattered segments that kind of are really popping up here. But on the bridges, did want to note on number 2 there that we are aware that is being studied and looked at. Again, that was in an area that in the last model that we ran looked like a roadway segment that could need to be potentially widened there to 6 lanes. So again, it will be interesting to take a look at the new model results when we have that and confirm if that is still accurate or needed there. So those are the bridges, and then ultimately what we've done here is just overlay all of the information we have, and we put this on all the crash locations. And so really you can start to see then how things start to jump out, and not surprisingly, a lot of these conditions have multiple issues, right? So the 8126 interchange has some connectivity safety issues, travel time restrictions or congestion. And so as we go through and look at potential projects, we're looking to see for projects that will address these various needs. And so this is just those same combined needs overlaid with where the fatal and serious injury crash locations are happening. So that's it for the needs and opportunities section. So I'll pause here and see if anybody has any questions, comments, additional issues or needs that you thought might be popping up or want to share. But I'll just pause here for a minute and see if there's any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Jim?
Hey, Jim's Troy. As we're looking at that map's fine. That route, State Route 36 coming down to 81, stopping at the interstate, are we looking at continuing that down to the border of the MPO? Or
Yes.
Okay, because we got that on one of our plans, don't we?
Are you talking about widening State Route 36? Because what this is looking at just like,
Well, congestion, well, it could be
yeah,
congestion.
because this is looking at the whole, I mean, all the way, even, I know it's not State Route 36 in Virginia, but where State Route 36 goes into Virginia, it's looking at the whole length of 36 for just signal coordination, oh gosh, access management, stuff like that. So,
Yeah, that's good. I just don't want it
And
to
Troy, are you talking the Improve Act project south of
Make sure
81?
that we went off of Improve Act. Yes, sir.
it'll be in the project scoring when he gets to that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Jim, I've got a question. What's the date ranges of your data?
So the crash data, I believe, is 21 through 25. The pavement and bridge data, I would need to confirm on that. I'm assuming that's probably 24 or 25.
Crash data is basically the last 4 years.
It should be the most recent 5 years that was available, and I believe that was 21 through 25.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question for Blake. I don't know, do you think any of these that are showing it as the paving is some of the dirt or gravel roads over there?
Yeah, unfortunately, Scott County for Virginia has the highest percentage of unpaved roads in the Commonwealth per counties. So that's more than likely why that shows up.
Okay.
You had a separate layer that y'all could provide.
We can look
So
at
we
that
could parse
and just
that
see if we can
out?
pull it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can send that to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, Jim, it's Blake. One thing I'll say to keep in mind, just it's probably been seen in the news and there's going to be more about it here in the coming months, but the inland port site in Washington County, Virginia is approved. And so that's going to be up somewhere near exit 10 at the Washington County Industrial Park.
Okay.
There's a lot of conversation as they begin to partner with freight providers that Eastman will be one of the big individuals that they partner with. That freight will obviously have to make it from Eastman's site to this area off of exit 10 for the inland port. So just keep that in mind that as you look at the model in the out years, there could be a higher percentage of truck traffic than what we have today, which I think further points the need to the 26 and 81 interchange.
No, makes sense. Thanks, Blake. Do you know if there's any detailed studies that have looked at that, Blake, at all? Or looked at that issue, Blake?
I was just gonna ask the same thing. Is it approved for study or is it actually approved for study and the site to be done?
It's approved. I think they allocated $20 million for the port, if I'm not mistaken. And so we'll see where that gets us and how far that goes down the path. But yeah, it is funded at 20 million right now, and that's live in the budget. To my knowledge, there's not been a TIA style study. I can't say that there haven't been. I know that's the Port Authority that oversees that, which is a different branch within the Secretariat. So I can find out.
Any other questions?
They would be trucking it to exit 10 and then putting it on rail. That's what you're saying?
There's two ways that freight can end up there. Obviously, they could rail cart down to that exit. More than likely, though, the large percentage of that freight will come by truck.
But it could come by train.
Could come by
It just
train.
makes a lot of sense because they already have the track
Correct.
there.
Has the project
That's what I
started
thought.
yet?
It has not.
Any idea on anticipation to,
Not yet. I would say by the end of the year, we should have a lot better idea on that.
any idea how long it'll take?
I would say with the 20 million, a few years for that thing to get up and operational.
Yeah.
I know there's conversations about temporary stacking and storing in some other locations and trying to get it jump started a little quicker. I think Bristol is one of those locations that's been looked at.
Any other questions, comments for Jim at this point in presentation? Jim, if not, if you want to continue.
All right, so just real quick, couple slides on project scoring. So just a reminder, one of the first meetings, we talked about the overall goals and objectives for the LRTP. So our scoring also takes into account public and stakeholder input. So information that we've received from surveys and stakeholder discussions. So we are aware of issues around traffic congestion, road maintenance issues, and other items that you see listed here. But really, this is just to represent that we're taking all of that into account as we go through and develop this very detailed or busy graphic that you see here. What we have on here are the potential projects that are intended to address some of the issues or address the issues that we were talking about earlier. And so all of these are projects that have individual numbers. There could be some overlapping on here. It's just very challenging to show it on one map, but we did several months ago. Leslie had shared the LRTP projects that we had from 2045 plan. And so we did get some feedback and comments on those, and we went in and updated the projects. One of the things that we are going to be doing after we finalize the scoring, again, we want to get that level of service information in there and take that into account, but see if there might be other projects that we would add to the potential project list. What we did then is we went through and we applied our project scoring. I actually introduced this or showed it at the last meeting that we had. And so each one of those projects, we do a GIS analysis or a qualitative analysis around some of them to see what the improvement is. And each one of these projects then gets scored and has a weight associated with the goals that we have there. And so that ultimately leads us into our scoring results. Any questions? I know I went through that very quickly. One other thing I'll note here, I do recall there was a comment at the last MPO meeting about potentially incorporating housing into the scoring process. We did look at a couple different ways to do that. We felt like it wasn't really capturing or reflecting what we wanted to accomplish, but I do want to just let the committee know that housing is an important part of, or a focus area that we're supposed to look at in the LRTPs, and we are doing that. We did conduct 4 stakeholder discussion groups. Those were around safety, regional mobility, housing and land use, economic development and freight, and then we had a healthy communities discussion as well. And so a couple of those we did talk about housing issues. But any questions on the scoring process before I share the preliminary results?
Do I have any questions?
Jim, this is Thomas Lawson, Lynn Wisco.
Just a quick question for you, Jim, on the economic scoring. And I know we'd sent an email out about this, kind of inquiring the same question. Thinking about economics, were any comprehensive economic development strategies or similar plans incorporated into that scoring? Just looking at it in the Lenowisco footprint, we have some sites that are identified for future economic use, but might not be, in place at this time. So just curious if the team had looked at that.
No, thanks for the reminder. I don't think we specifically looked at that, but I am going to make a note of that, and we're going to double check again. As I mentioned, these were preliminary results. We're still waiting on a lot of the level of service and some of that future growth. So we have time to adjust that and modify it. So I will make sure that we take a look at that and see if we can factor that in.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right, Jim, if you want to keep going.
All right, so just a few more slides. The results, this is just an example of a very large spreadsheet that we have. This will continue way off to the right side of the screen, but what we've done for each one is each project receives a score for each of those metrics. So we have the actual data. We have the score that is associated with that. And so that table or a table with all the metrics will be available for review. Going through and summarizing the scores, very similar results to what we saw in the 2045 plan. There are a few that have moved maybe up or down a little bit within the scoring, but I do like to remind people that that really the scoring is intended to kind of create a bucket of projects. And so I would say that any of these projects that you see here are really in the top tier, and when we start to look at the fiscal constraint, how much money is available, what the project cost is, that is where some of these projects towards the bottom here might be ones that become higher. And then Troy, as you mentioned earlier, the project number 128 there, State Route 36 going southeast from Interstate 81. We've identified that in here, or that was a potential project which we scored, and it scored within or in the top tier here. So I think one thing that we saw is the 81 area that maybe being a little bit lower from some of the scoring, but actually when I did take a look at it, it seemed like maybe some of the safety numbers were slightly better with the data that we were just recently looking at. So that could potentially be some of what we're seeing there. But the projects that you just saw there are also listed in this table. And I will just pause here for a second, see if there's any questions on this before I show the tier 2 projects, and then we'll wrap up.
Questions or
Hold on
comments?
a second, Jim.
Hey, Jim, it's Matt. How are you?
Hey, Matt.
The question I was asking Leslie offline here was regarding the other Improve Act projects in this region. And I saw that, on your list, you had the one, but my question was, how many Improve Act projects were in this region? And did those are those scores lower than the other ones? I couldn't really tell from the spreadsheet that was brought up.
Yeah, so yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
would, Matt, I would need to check that spreadsheet again, Matt, and I've got, the total on there. I can get back to you on that number, but we have these projects that scored here. And then the tier two projects, which are on the map here. I'll come back to it. It might be easier to look at it on the table here. So we did have, towards the bottom there, State Route 126 Memorial Boulevard. That was scoring at 50 now. Again, these are preliminary numbers, Matt. So we're going to take a look at the model volumes that we get, and see if any of those, if any of these things move around. But are there others that you think you would expect to see on here, maybe?
No, I was actually curious to know where those things fell in the priority of the other projects listed, just to see. So that's something that we're going to have to do when we are in the updating our long range transportation plan, was to make sure that these projects still have validity. And as you know, we are still legally required to incorporate these into future 10-year plans. But if they are low on a region's list of priorities, then there's something that I need to do to kind of send that message back up the chain. And that's why I was asking.
No. Okay, no, that makes sense. I apologize. I'm in Chicago. The Air and Water Show is happening this weekend. They just started to practice, so I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. But anyways, are there any questions or comments on projects that you're seeing on here, or projects
Yeah,
that you might?
There's a question from the audience, but I also need to we need to check that second phase of the memorial, where it was, because the first phase is under construction. The first phase was split into two phases, and so we need to see how that second phase fell, because I'm assuming we scored it when we didn't count it as being a committed project because it's not in the 10-year plan. But that first from Center Street to Cooks Valley was split into two sections. So the first section is under construction, and this that's showing on here is the Cooks Valley on out to Interstate 81. So I don't even think they've started that project. So that one I would expect to score lower. But
Okay.
You have a question, sir?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear. Hold on a second. Let me get, they're gonna bring in microphone. Hold on a second.
Question.
If you would tell us your name, and who you're with.
Greg Ramey, Sullivan County Highway Department. My question is on that 202 where it was talking about the ID on that project. What is the safety enhancements that is planned on being done right there?
And I'm sorry, was that on 202 here?
Yes.
Oh, what?
Oh, on Stone Drive 202.
Right there where Bloomingdale is. I'll tell you what's been happening. I travel that road quite a bit, and when we're coming out of right there from the lower part of Kingsport, when you come across to Bloomingdale, I'm telling you, people are crowding you out. I mean, it's where it narrows down in Bloomingdale, and it's causing a lot of safety. I just about got hit the other day, and I mean, they just about took the front end off my county vehicle. And I'm telling you, something's got to be done about it, because they keep making the issues about it. I mean, it's unbelievable how much. My wife about got hit too 3 weeks ago.
Jim, do you have the safety enhancements for this meeting or not?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question?
Do you have the safety enhancements for Project 202, or is that something you'd have to get later?
Oh, a lot of these, when they're being identified, are really just identifying, kind of starting to flag like conceptual improvements. That we may not have specific safety improvements that we identify, but we are calling out, and some of these would potentially lead to a more detailed study. I do recall, I think this was an area that, we did have safety conversations, with stakeholders and we'll go back and double check. I think there may have been some references to this area.
That project is for Stone Drive from Interstate 26 to Bloomingdale Pike, which is where
Yeah,
Bloomingdale Pike is in the city limits meets Stone Drive. There's a whole separate project for Bloomingdale Pike and Bloomingdale Road.
Oh.
That is in other stuff. I know it showed up in our local road safety plan, so we'll also have to check here and see where it's at and scoring and stuff like that. But Bloomingdale Pike and Bloomingdale Road was split because Bloomingdale Pike's in the city, Bloomingdale Road's the county, but of course.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of issues with it and stuff, and I mean, it's just unbelievable. People try to speed up especially if they're coming from like the end right there, if they're coming off Stone Drive
Mhm.
on to Bloomingdale from like where Wendy's and the putt-putt place is. I mean, they'll speed up and try to run you off the road to get up ahead of you. And I mean, and what it does is where it narrows up there.
Yeah.
And I just, since I've seen it, I wanted to ask a question about it, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
It is.
Any other questions the board has? Go ahead, Michael.
I was just wanting to comment on the city side of Bloomingdale Pike, from starting at Stone Drive going up. We recognize it, and what we're expecting to do is take that to probably carry the 2 lanes off of Stone Drive up to Larry Neal Way. And it would either, one of the lanes would die either to Gibson Mill or Larry Neal Way to give us some more time, and then go to a 3-lane section up to Shipley Ferry. That's about as far as we've gotten as far as our thoughts and planning process on it, but you got other ideas, let us know.
And it would also be the bridge right there, like the Gibson Mill
Okay.
Bridge that comes down to Bloomingdale Pike.
All right, thanks, Craig. Any other questions the board has? All right, Jim.
all right. So any other questions on either the tier 2 projects or other projects you may not see on here? If not, that is what I have today. So take any other questions you might have. Just I guess I will note we are talking with Leslie and Michael about after we get the level of service, we redo the scoring, finalize that. We do want to put some of these projects out for the public to take a look at and provide comments on. And then potentially coming back in the meeting in November, we'll give you an update on that. We'll also have done the fiscal constraint analysis, so that will identify the recommended program projects that we'll be looking at. And that will then feed into the draft plan we'll have ready in December. So with that, thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any other questions that anyone might have.
Do I have any questions for Jim?
And remember, we're going to a regional travel demand model that we're working on right now with Bristol, Johnson City, TDOT, and the consultant. So that's what Jim's waiting on. Instead of doing a model, spending the money on for a model for our plan, we're just coordinating, trying to get what we need from the regional model so they can finalize these scores.
Thanks, Jim. Bob, we're going to turn to you now for the TDOT Rural Service Program presentation.
And you should be able to share your screen.
Okay. All right, I'm working on it here. Can you hear me okay?
Sure can.
All right. Are you seeing anything yet?
Not yet, but sometimes it takes a second.
Okay. Leslie, I may have to have you my backup if I can't get it going here. I don't want to keep y'all's time.
Yeah, I've got it.
All right, let me see if this will do it.
Oh, I think it's going. Hold on a second.
Close.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's sharing your screen, but your presentation's not up.
Okay, let me try one more time and then I'll have you to do that probably. Probably be quicker if you just go ahead and bring it up, Leslie, if you don't mind.
Okay, let's see. Well, I'm not sharing my screen now. Let's see here.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, on Zoom I was. Okay, now let's see.
Yeah.
View. Slideshow at the slideshow from beginning. Okay, are you seeing that, Bobby?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. And hello from Spring City, Tennessee, where it's 89 degrees. Hope it may be a little bit cooler up there in Kingsport. So thanks for having me, by the way. My name is Bobby Clevenger. I'm the Traffic Incident Management, or the TIMS coordinator with TDOT. Can you go down a couple more slides, please? Okay, yes. So the reason I'm here today is to tell you guys about an exciting program that TDOT's just got launched, and it's the Rural Service Patrol and how it affects your area that you live in, of course. We'll be talking about the contract update, Auto Base, which is the vendor that was selected. And the most important thing we want to talk about is the route coverage, because that's usually what people want to know, and a little bit about the regional organization and communication flow, and then any questions at the end, of course, answer them. And if I don't have the answer, I'll get them for you. You go to the next slide, please. Oh, there you go. So this is a contract that TDOT has obtained. So the vendor selection started back in November. The contract was signed in December. And originally they started to launch the program. They wanted to launch it all at the same time, but there was so many moving parts, so many vehicles had to get certain things done. That just wasn't feasible. So it was decided to do a staggered deployment. So the first deployment was in Region 2. That would be your Chattanooga, Cookeville area. That was in March of 2026. And then Region 4 was April 2026. And Region 1, and this is, you guys fall under Region 1. That, of course, under TDOT, that's Knoxville, Fall Branch, Kingsport, Johnson City, all those areas there is what's considered Region 1. And then Region 3 started in June 2026. So at the beginning of July, from Memphis to Kingsport, there's coverage now on the interstate with the Rural Service Program. So AutoBase was the company that was selected. They had a large, I guess, they had a lot put on them. When TDOT was looking for a vendor, there's a lot of things they had to meet, a lot of criteria they had to meet. So AutoBase, as you can see on this slide here, this is not their first rodeo. They actually have a national footprint, and this show the states here highlighted just shows you the states they're already operating in. They're already doing this type of work in these other states. So they brought that to the table when the vendor was being selected, and ultimately they was the one that won the bid. You go to the next one, please. Just a little flow chart here, but the main thing I want you to pay attention to is to your bottom right. It says RSP Operation Manager Region 2 and 1. David Pettis, that it will be the operational manager there. So if there's ever any problems or anything of that nature, we could reach out to him, or you can either get a hold of me, which I'll talk to you about that later, or David. He's the man in charge on that. I just want you to see that flow chart there and how it works. They obviously, each of them have a shift provider or supervisor as well. Now here's the program, the service they provide. If you don't mind, I'm going to start on the secondary services first, okay? So here's the things they do and the free service they provide to the taxpayers, of course, our citizens and the people traveling through our states. Disabled vehicle response. I don't know if any of you guys in the room there, gals, ever had the privilege, I guess you'd say, of being broken down on interstate, but it can be a life-changing event, right? So that's one thing. And let me tell you something before I go any further. I'm a retired lieutenant from the Tennessee Highway Patrol. I retired from the Chattanooga district about 2 years ago, and I actually worked in your area there. I'm from Cocke County original. Reason I'm telling you all this is because as a trooper, I remember going to the scenes of people who had been broke down on our interstate roadways. I actually worked up there on 81 as well, and up in 26 at one particular time. But it always, it bothered me when I'd get there to provide service to them, only to find out they'd been there for, extremely extended amount of time. We were so far few and in between. So now this rural service patrol is there, and that's one of the main things they do. Just to give you an idea, I told you a minute ago they were deployed in May in your area there. So since May the 24th of 2026, disabled vehicles alone, they've responded to 3,125 of them already. Now, I wanted to get numbers specifically for I-26. I know that affects you more than any others, but that's just in Region 1. So that's all the interstate they cover. But still, that's a lot of disabled vehicles they're responding to. So that's one thing they do. And, the tire changes, the overheatings, the fueling, the jump starts, and any other thing like that. They are trained in minor mechanical stuff, so they're familiar with vehicles and getting them back on the road when they can. Another service they provide is abandoning unattended vehicles. So you guys may have seen at one point in time vehicles on the side of the interstate, and they've had the little either green stickers or orange stickers on the back window. That's saying it's being checked either by a trooper or one of the TDOT or Rural Service Patrol people that's checking it out. So they do that, and they mark that sticker. I don't have one with me. I wish I had one here with me to show you what it looks like. But what they do is they check the vehicles. Number one, make sure that there's nobody there needing assistance. Okay. And they'll tag that vehicle, put the time and date on it. So when law enforcement do come along, they can see it's already been checked. And it sort of gives them a timeline on how long it's been there. So that's a major thing to do as well. And abandoned vehicle tag placement is what I was talking to you about right there. That's what they put the tag on. Then the animal control. Of course, there's dead animals in the roadway. They're going to help get those out of the roadway as well. Now, the primary services is up on top. Of course, I know you guys in East Tennessee never have bad weather, right? So, of course, you do. So they're there for those events when we have to help the roadways. And the biggest thing is a safe, quick clearance. I'll take a minute if you don't mind. Let me talk about that for a second. So I told you I was a Traffic and Incident Management Coordinator. That's TIMS. That's a federal program throughout the states that responders go through. Now, not all responders don't, but it's really encouraged for all responders to go through this training. And what that is getting the roadways open as safely and quick as possible. Because the reason why is, the interstates especially, is because we found out through the years when there's an incident that happens in the roadway, especially the interstate, something that impedes traffic starts backing up, of course. Then we start having the secondary crashes. We found out the secondary crashes are normally way worse than the initial incident that happened in the roadway. So we took that on. It came out in 2012, and so all the responders are being trained through the years of doing this. TDOT with Department of Safety and a lot of agencies, and if I'm not mistaken, Kingsport is part of them. They have signed an MOU. It's an open road policy. They understand how important it is to get the roads open safely and quick as possible because of these things I just spoke about. So the reason I bring that up, Rural Service Patrol will be doing this as well. When they show up on the scene, if they're on the interstate and they see a crash, they're there first or whatever, they're going to be active getting that vehicle either push, pull, drag, or drive off the roadway to open back traffic. Now, Tennessee does have laws to allow that as long as there's no serious injury or criminal element. Any responder is that sign an MOU can do that. Of course, TDOT is one of those. So they're going to be really active doing that, open those roadway open back as quick as possible. Another one of their primary services they're going to be doing is maintenance notification. So they're actively patrolling, and we'll get into their routes here in a few more slides, but they're actively patrolling and not only looking for the disabled vehicles to be in the roadway in any way they can assist motorists, they're also looking for any kind of damage done to our cable barriers, guardrails, or, even potholes or roadway issues as well. So they're looking at that. If they see any of that, they're going to report that to the maintenance so they can get on as quickly as possible. And of course, the big one's the crashes. So far on that 5/24/26, they have responded to 224 vehicle crashes. Now, what they do there, like I said a moment ago, they can push, pull, drag, or drive the vehicles out, or they can sit up and protect the responders that's already there. So they're going to be on the scene, and they're going to go to those responders, the law enforcement, fire, whoever's in control of the scene, and how can we help you? What do you need us to do? So they're that tool in the toolbox to be used, right? So a lot of times they're going to be protecting the queue. And so the responders can concentrate more on what they're doing and have a little bit more protection there. They do carry fire extinguishers as well for small fires. They can use that. And of course, the debris in the roadway. They're there to do that as well. And could you go to the next slide, please?
Yeah, what's that cell phone usage at the bottom?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. That's just, most everybody has cell phones now, but just in case somebody's there, the cell phone's dead or it's not working for whatever reason, they'll let them use theirs to get the communications, contact, and things of that nature.
And so the animal control, is that just if there's something in the road, not just like
Yes.
we need to move from the shoulder?
Correct. They won't be herding cattle off the interstate or anything like that. No. No.
Thanks.
Now, I provided, maybe you guys, did you guys get this handout? Troy, was you able to print these off for them? If
Yes,
not,
they're
okay, you
laid
do.
out
Okay.
each person, and then there's some extras over there on the table
Okay.
for the audience.
Good deal. Good deal. So you've had a chance to look at that. So if you'll see the blue, the roadway of the state of Tennessee up there, and you'll see some interstates in blue, that in 1999, the HELP program started with TDOT. They call it the Legacy HELP program. That's those yellow trucks you see in Knoxville, Nashville, Chattanooga, and Memphis. That's where it started. The program was so successful, and ever since 1999, they've been trying to expand this, and you know how things go. Took a little time, but now that's where we're at now. So what you see in the red is now the Rural Service Patrol. That is the interstates that they're patrolling actively as we speak all the time. Now, if you'll look over to the right and down to the bottom where it says some services to maintain customer trust, and that little box there, I want to bring your attention to the green 24 minutes versus 66 minutes in 2025. So what that is TDOT did a little research, and this is just their legacy TDOT program. They looked up the statistics, 24 minutes versus 66 minutes. So what that is 24 minutes, that's when an actual help truck was on the scene. And the 66 minutes was when they were not on the scene. So get the roadway back open, it took, or cleared rather than back open, it took 24 minutes with help versus 66 minutes when help wasn't there. Now, that doesn't mean that the help program or Rural Service Patrol is this magical tool or anything of that nature. That's just showing you having that extra tool there and providing that extra services that they provide. That really makes a big difference on the incidents in the roadway. That's all it simply means. And we're thinking, hopefully, we're going to see those similar results throughout the state as the statistics starts coming in. Hopefully, anyway, we can see the same results. Can you go next slide, please?
And I'll just point out that those figures you gave are for the red areas in Region 1 only. Right, so it's in less than 3 months. It's been 3,125 disabled vehicles and
Correct.
224 just on those
Yes.
red routes in
That
Region
is
1.
correct. Yes. So this is what the trucks look like. And if you guys have seen any of the help truck before, they look almost like, well, identical to it. The only difference is, I don't know if you can see on the back of the bed of the truck, it says Rural Service Patrol. But everything else looks just like a TDOT help truck. Now, these trucks they're equipped with a lot of different equipment on them. They do have the heavy bumpers. They are capable of pushing large trucks out of the roadway as well. And you can see the sign that pops up and gives direction to traffic, or it can actually put a message on there as well. So this is what the truck looks like. Next one, please. So this is what they're dressed like. Again, just like TDOT help operators, they're dressed very similar. The only difference is the patch they have on their chest there. It will somewhere there it says Rural Service Patrol. And I want to point out too, it is a vendor, and we had a lot of concern, especially by the help operators that's already out there, that they're going to be representing what they've built over these years, the legacy they've built with their help program. So one of the things the vendors had to do is meet the same standards as what Tennessee Department of Transportation already built with a help program. So these individuals are trained the exact same training that the TDOT help operators are. They're put through everything that they do. So, and their extensive background checks as well. They're vetted, they're interviewed several times and things of that nature. So the goal is they should be the same professionalism from the Rural Service Patrol than they are the TDOT Help Legacy program that's been around since 1999. So that's the goal on that. And they are vetted, like I said, and it's a performance-based contract. So when they do get dispatched or they dispatch themselves to an incident on the roadway, it's all captured in the CAD system at the TMC, so they can monitor and make sure all these things come into play. And I forgot to mention something, Leslie, as well. Could you go back to that one? It shows the state, the red and blue on it. If you don't mind, go back right there. Okay. I forgot to bring out this right here. This is a big thing as well. So this is 7 days a week, 16 hours a day that they'll be out there. And you can see on there the time is like 6 to 10 or 6:30 to 10. I can't remember which one it is, but that doesn't mean they can't come out after hours. Actually, they're on call, and in the contract, they actually, if they are called out, they're required to arrive within 60 minutes after being called out or faster. And so far, it's been more like 30 minutes anytime they were called out. So they've been really good on that. And let me see here, make sure I'm not missing anything else on here. Okay, because I forgot about that right there. 7 days a week. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's it. I just want to bring that out to you so you can go on, Leslie, to back where we were. Okay. So right here, this is Region 2, which I know you guys, it don't matter about that. That just shows you the interstates are covering there. But if you go to the next one, we'll get down to Region 1, where it's an important one. There we go. Okay, you see Region 1 here, and of course your area is up to the top right. I know 26 goes to Kingsport. So what you see here, the route they're covering, and you see they're sort of color-coded different colors. They're assigned a specific route. That doesn't mean they can't go out of that route. Of course, they're going to go out of the route if they need assistance elsewhere. And, you know, it may take more than one of these trucks to, when there's an event going on in the roadway, they may need 2 or 3, depends on what it is. But this way, they're assigned to a specific route, and this ensures that they're going to be patrolling that route back and forth and looking out for these things we mentioned before. So you'll see on there the staffs, there's 48, a total of 24 trucks plus one to spare, and 1,428 weekly hours, and they have these 12 routes in Region 1 itself. Okay, go to the next one.
So when they had the deployment or the kickoff up here at the Welcome Center, the commissioner mentioned that they will also cover some state routes. You have information on?
Oh yeah, okay. In the contract, they had a 10-mile radius going outside of the I road, and this is probably, Leslie, it's probably been one of the, I wouldn't say maybe bad communication or whatever. And because we had a lot of dispatches already wanting to dispatch them out on state roads on events. But what the contract was actually for is to go outside that 10 miles, just give them that window in case there's an incident happen that started flooding traffic into the cities or the county roads, or there's just some major event that normally don't happen that you needed help there. But this is a federal funded program, and they get their money through the through the feds, obviously. And so the interstate is the primary goal. So going off the interstate is just one of those things that now they can do it, but it has to get approved through TMC to be able to go off the interstate like that. So, you know, and keep in mind too, if you guys have big events up there where you see you are going to have a lot of traffic in your city and everything, that David Pettis, and I can get the information to you who you can get hold of. If you can call them, and if you want them to be part of your planning when you do have these planning meetings and whatnot, they'll be more than happy to be a part of that so they can see how assistance they can be to you guys. All right.
That's good to hear, because Micah with Bristol MTPO is here, and they have Bristol Motor Speedway. So
right, and see, that was one of the big things. We went to all the responders. We had traveled through the state, and we'd have meetings in all the areas. We had one there in Johnson City where we got all the local responders, law enforcement, EMS, or well, mostly law enforcement, because a funny story here, when this program kicked off, I don't know if it was Georgia or it's one of the states near us, right? They started this type of program, and they actually had one of their drivers arrested because nobody knew about the program. And here's this truck out there with lights on it, assisting people and things of that nature. So we wanted to make sure that did not happen in Tennessee, and everybody was familiar with it. And since I brought that up, I just thought of something else. These vehicles are considered an emergency vehicle, meaning they do run code or emergency traffic. They have red lights, they have sirens, they are trained in EVOC training and all the things that you have to be to have an emergency vehicle. However, their company really restricts them into doing really safe emergency vehicle driving because that's a big concern. They didn't want anything to happen like that, but they are emergency vehicles. So we did go to all the different areas throughout the states, educating or informing rather law enforcement on this upcoming program. And the reason I brought that up is one of the big questions they had was what you just mentioned, Leslie, all the events you guys have up there that affects your area. And that was brought up, and they said, yes, we'll be there, be involved in those plannings, anything we can do our part to help out. So, yes. Okay, if you want to go, any more questions on this right here before we not? Okay, here is the regions. Like I said, you guys, region 1, let's see what that part right there. And region 2, of course, Chattanooga and Cookeville. And you have region 3 and 4. Just to break down, show you what that looks like. And just a little, so you can see the regional organizational. The red there is the state, of course, and it's just showing you how they do communicate with our vendors in the RSP program. Just give you a shot of that. Okay. So communication is key, and one of the big questions we get is how do you get a hold of them? So like I said a minute ago, it is a performance-based contract, so we need to really keep up with all their activities that they do. And the best way to do that, of course, is going through our regional TMC. So what normally happens when something happens on the interstate, it's either Star THP or it's 911. They usually call one of those two, right? So either way, THP or local areas there, Kingsport, their dispatch, whoever you have there, they have TMC's number. They'll get a hold of the TMC, and the TMC will dispatch the Rural Service Patrol, or if they need maintenance as well, they'll do that. So that's the flow on how to get through that. And any questions on the communications here? We go to the next one. I know it's pretty straightforward. But just to give you some numbers, now I gave you a couple a minute ago, but since it started, the total number of events, that means whether they rolled up on an event in the roadway, like whether it's debris or disabled vehicle or whatever the case may be, or there's dispatch to it. So since this all started, they've responded to 4,425 traffic events thus far. So they've been really busy, really going at it. And like I said a minute ago, they're actively patrolling. I hope you guys have seen them on 26. Hope some of you have seen them already. So they're out there actively patrolling, doing this. And me, myself, like I said, being a retired trooper, I'm glad to see this because when I was a trooper and work in the areas that did have them, it was so nice to have that extra tool there, working those events and providing some cover for me as well. So I really like that. So I'm glad to see they're out there, and I travel the interstates all the time too. So it's good to know. And just on a side note, I know everybody there probably has loved ones traveling around the roadway as well. Just so you'll know, TDOT has enhanced their 511 number. So a lot of people, especially if they're not from our areas, they're on the interstates and they break down or have an event, they really don't know where they're at. So what the 511 does now is you can just dial 511 and it gives you an option. You need assistance, motorist assistance. If you say yes, it gives you an option to receive a text. And if you allow them to send you a text, they can get your coordinates and they can pinpoint you directly where you're at. So if you want to spread the word there, it's just a good little tool to have as well out there on the roadway. So that's it. I have any questions on the Rural Service Patrol?
Any questions for Bob? Bob, thanks for the presentation.
Yes, sir. And I hope y'all have a good day.
You too. Leslie for the partner updates, project updates.
Okay, so Kara had to get off, so there's nobody from federal on. See, Blake, you got anything for VDOT? Troy, or Matt, just general TDOT updates?
I'm gonna let Matt go first with long range plan.
Okay. Okay, so I had mentioned this a little bit earlier during your long range plan update, but TDOT is actively developing their 2055 long range transportation plan. And we are kicking off with our engagement. Saturday, we actually have our first event. Has anybody attended the Cookeville Chicken Festival before?
This is the first year.
Yeah. Oh, well, then I guess you.
Okay.
It was a trick question, see if there's any liars in the room, right?
Anyway, we have a booth at the Chicken Festival this Saturday. Where the reason why we're going out to these festivals is we really only are doing one engagement event per region. So we're trying to get into some of the more rural areas that the MPOs and the urban areas already cover. So, and we thought, why not get to festivals where people come to us? So, like I said, we have one for each region set up. The first one is Saturday, so we'll see how that goes. The next one is on Tuesday at the Tennessee State Fair in Wilson County. Region 1 will be at the Obion County Fair, which is August 28th. That's a Friday. So you'll have plenty of time to do your business at work and then change your clothes and come out. It's from 5 to 10 p.m. So no excuses for anybody to come out and give us give some input on what TDOT can do to help with transportation issues. And finally, the last one's at the Unicoi County Apple Festival a little bit later. Quick background as to how we are approaching the long range plan this year. We are looking at strategic critical corridors as opposed to a statewide overview. It's more about interstates and state routes that have specific needs, whether that's a mobility need, a freight need, economic development. So we're looking at creating definitions of each of those, defining what that means as far as the corridor itself, and then establishing whether or not those definitions are meeting the criteria that establishes that. So it's a way of determining deficiencies within a critical corridor network. For those that are also fortunate to be coming to our MPO conference next week, we'll have 2 sessions on this. First one defining a little bit about the plan approach, and then the next one is diving a little bit deeper into the strategic corridors. So that's kind of it for my update. I think because Kara had to leave, everybody I think is aware that we finally got our STIP approved. So we are now we can breathe a little bit easier now, knowing that the cliff of September 30th is not a problem anymore. So we've also incorporated our brand new STIP and TIP interfaces. Hopefully you all that have touched it feel as good about it as we do, as far as the interactivity and the ability to create these workflows that didn't really happen in the previous eSTIP. So I think that's it for me. Troy, anything else? I already checked with her. Okay, Anne Marie, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think you guys got it. Thank you.
All my stuff's the project updates. We'll go ahead and roll through some of those. So the Fort Robinson Bridge project, that one is going letting for construction in December. Finally, Fort Robinson.
December.
Yep. Jeffrey Medford is our PM on that project. But that one, we're about ready to roll. So State Route 1, Stone Drive, West Stone Drive, Holston River at the county line. Jason Schultz is in charge of that one. That is an alternative delivery project. We're currently working on that project, doing a projected letting in 2028. We did clear up a couple things on that. So we will there were questions about sidewalks on that project. We are doing sidewalks on it. Even though there's not sidewalks on each end of it right now, but we will take care of the bridge part. And then, those are two separate structures. And we're going back with a single structure, bridge going across that. There have been questions about, maintenance of traffic across that during this construction. They're currently working on that now. See what we can do so you can get home in the afternoon. Leslie, we're gonna do everything we can to keep as many lanes open as we can, but they're still in process of that. As those start to develop, we'll kind of get those in. We got a little time on that one too. Resurfacing State Route 36, Fort Henry Drive. So that project is coming up. That's lakeside to Somerville. We're gonna mill that down and then get that resurfaced. That project's coming. Summers is working on that one, but Summers is also working on our I-26 projects, including that little hole that we had over there in Unicoi County, is my understanding, in that area. Once they get unmobilized from that, they're gonna mobilize, start working on our projects over here.
They've started traffic control setting out.
Okay, so we're getting real close.
Signs and barrel for.
Excellent. While we're on the resurfacing, there was a question specifically about I-26 and how we're working. And the curb, or not the curb ramps, but the ramps, interstate ramps on and off. If it has asphalt on it now, they're planning on resurfacing the asphalt sections. That's what I've been told by our project managers on that one. The concrete, I think, has a different treatment if they do. We usually don't do that one. With these, but this will be all asphalt. So they are going to be improving that. And I think we missed one last time. Is that right? Or part of one or something.
I think it was just a procedural thing. It's like this road gets paved and
right,
and the ramp, they think the ramp will get done with the other one, and then they do the other road and
right.
thought it was done with the other one, and the ramps got missed.
And and Mike and I talked about that. I'm gonna confirm with our construction managers, make sure that's all gonna continue to hit that way. State Route 33 Derby Drive. The temporary traffic light down there, that's down to one lane. It's gonna continue like that until roughly spring 2027. That's been updated a little bit. I think there was a change order on that and it has been pushed out a little bit, but that project is making a lot of headway. There's a lot of grading and work going on down there. Of course, Kingsport's had utility work out there with us as well. And if you ever travel that road, watch for weekend closures. We have had, I think last weekend we had a closure of that road. So you actually have to go around. We typically make sure the fire departments and the EMS, we try to coordinate with that as well. But definitely watch out for our TDOT socials to keep updated with that. And then the last one I have on here is Goshen Valley, State Route 1. So this is a county bridge in Hawkins County. But we are working on this project. This also will be an alternative delivery. Currently in right away, we're looking at projected letting for 2028. That is a 10-ton bridge. It's about, I think it's 800 feet long. It's a big one. And there is a potential we may, I don't want to say we're going to span the whole thing, but there's a possibility we're going to have to span it because those are high quality waters. But we're still under development with that. If it's anything, we had to do that at Kyle's Ford in Hancock County because we had mussel beds in the area. So our environment's still working through that, see what we come up with. But the original bridge that was down there, which if you drive down and look at it, you can see them, they were down in the flood zone. So this bridge is much higher, and that's why it's so long. The river's not that wide there. It's just the wide area. So we're working on that. We've had questions, and I'm still working on the trucks don't come this way, because I drove the route the other day. I got off in Mossheim and trickled my way up through the valley. And yeah, if I drove that in 18, and I passed an 18-wheeler coming through, I would not turn around and go back either. But the day I was down there, I saw everything. I saw there must be a quarry close because I saw 4 dump trucks that crossed it and they all parked out on 11E, waited on me to leave. And then on 11W, saw an 18-wheeler come across it and multiple school buses for a 10-ton bridge. So I'm not real sure what's going to happen on that. We do have additional signage out there, but we're going to try. I'm going to talk to traffic and a few things to see if we can get anything put out just stating don't follow your GPS from exit 30 in Mossheim through that valley trying to cut the corner off, just come up around.
Or exit 36 in Baileyton.
Well,
Yeah.
at least one of those already had signage at the interstate.
36
30.
doesn't.
You can do exit 30 as well. They'll both take you that way.
I know we were told that y'all would put some signage up, even though it was
We have put up some, but it's closer to the bridge.
far.
It's too,
Too far
they've already
away.
committed.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere for them to turn around.
Yeah.
So we'll keep digging on that and see what we can do to help. Of course, 126 is underway. Y'all see lots of stuff going on up there. It's about a 4-year project. We probably have about 4 years left. If you drive up there and look at it now on the right-hand side, not too far from the fire department, you'll see the base layer going down. So if you ever are curious about how a road's built, right now is the time to look because there are big boulders in the bottom of that for that first layer that's going in. It's kind of interesting to you'll be able to see this thing build up because if you drive by, you're looking over in a hole and that should be coming up pretty much flush to where you're driving. So something to look at. Then when you get up to the signal, look over at the other hole because that's going to be full of dirt too. I don't know where we're getting all of it, but it's going to be a big project. But they are underway, and if you have questions on that, Mike, we've got contacts with our construction folks. We'll make sure we get in touch with y'all, and if anything comes up and something silly happens, we'll try to make sure it gets addressed. That gas station up there, the Sunoco, it's gone. It has now been. They were finishing it today. That came up a couple weeks ago, so making good progress. Any other questions for TDOT? I can refer you to Matt.
Do you have any update on the next section?
No, sir. No, we don't have anything on that. It's not in our 10-year plan at this point. I can't see past 10.
That's what
they are.
We don't understand how that goes from there. It was an improve project. All right away, all the way through.
Yep.
For the whole project. So y'all definitely started it. But it's not in the 10-year plan because it was later split into 2 projects by T.
Right.
What do I tell my alderman?
So what we had to do on that one is, and I don't know if the cost went up, because I know we had inflation, we did have some issues with that. But the second half, so that project, which was one project, the whole way up to Yancey's Tavern, roughly the cemetery-ish area, Indian Springs. They broke it up, split it in half roughly at the city limits, and because that was the funding that they had for it at that point. And if as funding becomes available, if we know that we can do something on there, that will be the next section that we would go through. We are committed to that one because like you said, we've already bought the right of way. We have to do that at this point. But I don't know when. And that, just because it's not showing in the 10-year plan doesn't mean it can't show up in year number 7 this next year. If, like sprinkles $100 million on us or something.
The question is the mechanism for that to happen.
So it is in the Improve Act. It's there. Now that's a great segue. I appreciate the tip there into our state partnership program, which you have to the end of the month to put in. But the state partnership program is where you can put in new starts. You can put in 4 projects like that that one should already be on our books, but especially if we have things that are not on our books specifically, stating we want this project, we have a need here, we can get those in. But in addition to that, and this is new for SPP this year, that's also the application for your TAP and your multimodal. TAP and multimodal are the nice part about the TAP grant, they have changed to make it more like multimodal, which now will pay for all phases, not just construction. It'll have a higher match than multimodal, but it will cover all of it. So we've had in Kingsport had a project, we had one, ended up turning it back in. It wasn't feasible after everything was ready. So what that does is that frees that money up so we can come back in. And that's actually great for the city of Kingsport because they know we're not going to progress on this. We stopped. If y'all wanted to put in for something else because that one's now done, we'll have a much more likelihood of being able to move forward with a different one. So like our Greenbelt projects. So, but really good. That was a very good move on your all's part to just say we're done with this one, the State Route 36 project, and then let's move on to something else.
State Route 36 sidewalk.
Sidewalk, yes.
Let's clarify that. I will ask about the 81 ITS project because, it's supposed to go from exit 57, so Interstate 26 up to exit 3 in Virginia.
Right.
And NEPA was obligated in May of 2020. I've asked for updates, over the past few years, and nobody that attends these meetings deals with those projects. So I've not really gotten anywhere, but on the obligation report that I got this morning for July, well, it had early August also, but it was on there to close the project.
Yeah, I haven't seen the obligation report yet, but I'll have to dig into it and see what's going on. I asked about ITS yesterday, specifically on 81, because that was one of our Improve Act projects, and I don't have a good answer on where ITS went and what we're working on, but I have asked about it before, and I'll ask again and see if there's a plan. They may close that project out and tie it in with something else. I don't know. Or spend that money on, the next 126 project and then come back to it. Not sure, but I know that we're trying to get our obligation down and money spent. And that I'm guessing, but I'll have to verify if that's kind of what the progress was at that point. Matt, do you have no thoughts on that? Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
But we can get back with you for sure. But unless there's other questions, that's all I've got.
Okay, let's go ahead and do transit, net trans. I do have a specific question. If you want to come up next to Morris, he'll give you a microphone. And we also, was going to see on the status of your COA. No questions. Okay.
Or anything. So they have not told us anything about the COA. It's just been a waiting.
They're
game
still
with the
waiting.
state.
Yeah, the long range, plan consultant had asked, and I was like, we can ask. They said they'll probably be at the meeting, so.
Yes, sorry, I wasn't here last time. We had TDOT at our office doing our audit, so it was the same week. But that went good. Everything went good with TDOT, so we're glad to get all that took care of. Couple of things since we wasn't here. We did submit a community development block grant with the city of Kingsport. It wasn't a lot that we received, but we are partnering with Project Access and Hope Helps to receive referrals for that to provide transportation for the community of Kingsport outside of the city limits. So if anybody knows of anyone else that might benefit, please reach out, let me know. We have 7 new transits that will be arriving in the next month. All of them will be converted to use propane, which is our goal, is to get all of our fleet to use propane besides of our electric. We started a new driving class on Monday with 3 new drivers. And we also applied for a TDOT or Tennessee Department of Health grant called Martha. Not sure if anybody heard about that, but fingers crossed, it'll be a huge grant and be able to provide free transportation to almost all of our 8 counties. So that would be really great. We should hear by the end of the month, so more to come on that. We also hosted Tennessee Public Transportation Association in June when they had their strategic planning. That just talks about the collaborations within the state of Tennessee, strengthening transportation and new and best practices, how we can help each other. We also kicked off our safety competition in June in preparation of the local rodeo that's getting ready to happen in September. So we've been pretty busy. Oh, and then we also are signing the agreement with Transit Technologies to implement our new maintenance software that we were able to get through an improvement grant through TDOT. So very busy.
Now, the CDBG, is that the one that you all were doing to kind of help where my ride went away? Yeah.
Yeah. I'll try to get more, but all I could get was 3,000. So we're going to use every penny of it and try to help as many people as we can.
Yeah, I had mentioned that to our senior center manager when we had our regional mobility. We had our healthy communities and she was on it, our focus group. And then when we had our regional mobility, Candace was talking about that replacing the MyRide, where MyRide had went away.
So it had a lot of transportation apply for community block grants like that. So I'm hoping that they can see what we have to offer and then maybe next year we can, do a little more.
And the other grant you're talking about, is it eligibility based or would it just be free rides for
It's anything that has to do with health transformation. So our whole goal was transforming healthcare. So that's how we went about the grant. So we'll see if they accept it or not. Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Candace.
Hi. I attended that strategic planning meeting at NetTrans, and it was very, very, very good and very well put on. So just a couple of updates from CATS. We are now fully staffed driver-wise, so that is really going to help. We've got 2 that are finishing up in training tomorrow. We are still seeking a maintenance position for our staff. We will be receiving 3 new buses this month, so we're looking forward to that. And we have approval on a grant to get a 4th. We're going to see how these 3 do and see how we feel about them. And then if we like it, we'll purchase the 4th. We are also preparing for our local rodeo a little bit later this year. We're having it in October, and so it'll be our 9th annual. So we're excited about that. And then also in October, we will work with Public Works to do our 3rd annual Model City 101. So we partner with Public Works and we put that on and host that at CATS in the garage there. So any questions about what's going on at CATS?
Or your rodeo, or are you doing it like you have the past couple of years?
We are.
Yeah.
We're doing it on site. It works really well.
Yeah.
Any questions for Candace?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't have MEOC. Chase, you got any RPO updates?
So we have on the calendar right now, Wednesday, October 21st is a date that is clear for our RPO meeting. So we're hoping to host that then at 10 a.m. at the District 17 training room. Right now, that might move to the Summit Leadership, but that's right now it's at District 17 offices behind the First Tennessee Development Office. So beyond, thanks for Troy for bringing up the SPP grant. I definitely just want to bring up one more comment about the TDEC opportunity that could serve for MPO partners here in the room that closes next week, I think on the 21st for a Class 4 to 8 vehicle replacement. So that's a good opportunity for applying for getting fleet upgrades, and leave it at that.
There's nobody from the airport on. Craig, do you have any updates for Sullivan County? Okay. And Michael, city project updates.
Yes. I don't know if I've shared this with y'all before, but in Kingsport now we have for the BMA, we now do all of our projects updates on the GIS map. We update those before every BMA meeting, so typically that's twice a month. But just wanted to show y'all that's available on, you just go to the main kingsporttn.gov website, pick city projects, and it brings you up to this map. So just going through the list here, we've got Eastman Road and Clinchfield Street paving. That's going to go to the BMA this board meeting for approval of the award for the paving. To Summers Taylor, that'll be paved this fall, and they may get to Clinchfield, but the Clinchfield Bridge project is currently underway, doing hydro demolition of the top 3 inches of the deck. And that's going well, but we're still not 100% sure that that'll get done in time. So it may be spring before Clinchfield gets paved. Meadowview Parkway, we're getting trying to get to notice to proceed. Probably that one will end up being a spring paving as well. The Orbank Road is in the NEPA phase that we're working on that. Bunch of other non-roadway related projects here too. So this is really all of the city's projects going on. Brickyard Park Bridge. that one we have got, right-of-way plans concurred upon by TDOT, but CSX, we're still working through all of their details, so we should get notice to proceed with right-of-way in the next couple months on that one.
Island Road.
And there's a few projects on the city's list that we haven't put on the MPO list because they may not be regionally significant, but they definitely don't have federal money in it. But we're looking at doing repairs on Eastman Road. Ford Town Road Bridge repairs currently are underway, but traffic in both directions is going to be kept open. That's an approach slab failure type problem on both ends of that bridge. Fort Robinson Bridge is one that TDOT's managing, so we're trying to include those that are nearing completion on our map as well. Island Road, we have it out to bid right now, and that was another that we're probably squeaking in too late. Maybe may get it done this fall. It may possibly be in the spring. We're going to be redoing the signal at Eastman Road and Jack White to realign the turn lanes so that they align up instead of offset in the bad way. And because this has been our highest crash location for the last several years when we do our traffic analysis that our traffic department does.
When will that start?
We're in the process of buying right away, so I can't answer that because we're the person that has right where my pointer's at, the person that owns that little strip of land, and differs with us greatly on the value of that property. But the Greenbelt project, we're in the right of way phase on it along Netherland End Road. That project, we've sent out notice of proposed acquisitions and the appraisal processes is carrying on. The SIA road you already spoke to, correct? If anybody's not aware of it, that's where it's at. It's opening up developable land for Eastman right here, and that doesn't look like much until you compare it to that's over 100 mobile homes in that little area. So it's really a big area that it's opening up. Where hit that one.
Yeah, with Memorial Boulevard, Troy, I meant to ask you, do you have a time frame for construction? Like they'd said 3 to 4 years when it was before it started. Is there a end date on that?
Current project? Yeah, just a 4-year project. So that's all I've got as a.
Yeah, I mean, it was like December of 2029 is when they opened bids, it was December of 2029. But I mean, there's going to be some change orders along the way, so it'll be 2030. The road is another one that doesn't have any federal money in it at this time, but it's a complete deck rebuild that we're going to be doing on Mitchell Road. But it's a very small bridge that'll be easy to accomplish. Let's see, what else is on your list that I need to hit? I believe I've hit all of them on the list. Is there anything else that y'all would like for me to hit? We're currently working on Watauga Street. That's more of a local. It is a collector, but it's more of a local route that we started down at Tennessee Street, and we're doing a rebuild section right now. It was in our paving program. It was so bad that we pulled it out, and we're doing a rebuild basically from Tennessee Street to Linville Street this year, and next year we'll pave the rest of Watauga.
Is that down the subcircle?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. That's all I have, unless y'all have questions for me.
Anybody else? Any more questions? If not, we're adjourned. Thank y'all for coming.
I'm sending you go back on the.